Hey you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the south, more specifically Orlando, Florida, and even more specifically than that, we're in front of Ripley's Believe It or Not. Now, believe it or not, they've actually completely remodeled the Orlando location here during the pandemic. During when it was closed down, they did a lot of changes, updates, so I'm very excited to go back through this Ripley's and experience it all over again. So please, follow me. You can see the building here in Orlando, built with a sinkhole theme. You know, sinkholes are a issue here in Central Florida. Here in the lobby we have a 12-foot python skin right there, and then python skeletons there on the opposite wall. Oh, that's very cool there.
Made out of a single piece of driftwood. The story behind this, actually, you can see we started doing a little projection mapping.
Yeah.
There's actually a story about this of conservation and helping the oceans and everything. That's really what this piece is supposed to represent, is conservation of nature and the oceans.
Got some gator themed items.
Right?
Is that a fossilized alligator? And then just a chunk of alligator skin with a pitchfork stuck in.
With a pitchfork. There's never a shortage of weird things here, Ripley. So I do want to point out a couple of things that are definitely new to this gallery.
Okay.
It sounds like you said that you've been.
I think I've seen this new part.
Just this new gallery. So there's a couple of things I do want to point out. Obviously, you're a big fan of the Fiji Mermaids.
Okay.
So we have this one in what we call our planars, which are the transparent screens. I know you've seen those before, but they're just brilliant.
See the fish and the monkey combined to make the Fiji mermaid.
Another one came from the Key West Museum, which so I'm sure you've probably seen.
Yes, that's
Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway's shrunken torso. Well, not the one that was on his body, but the one,
exactly.
The one that he owned.
The one that he owned. That's not Ernest Hemingway. Shrunken. So definitely wanted to point that one out because that is actually only one of 2 shrunken torsos that we have in our collection.
Really?
You can only see them here in Orlando, Florida, and in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Those are the only.
Okay, I thought when I saw the one in Gatlinburg, I thought it was this one, but I think I was wrong.
Yeah, we have 2 in our collection.
Okay.
Gatlinburg and Orlando. That
awesome.
would be the only 2. Always love seeing the skeletons.
The skeletons?
The skeletons are my favorite part. So most recently, we used to do a lot of just taxidermy, kind of get rid of the skeletons. Sometimes we'd save the skulls and things like that.
Yeah.
But I just think this is really cool.
No, yeah, it's very fascinating.
The body is still being worked on, but eventually this is going to be displayed with the body, so that you can see the body and the skeleton in the same.
Oh, there we get a closer look at the mermaid. There you can see he has a little mustache. Shrunken ferret head, shrunken pig head, shrunken capybara head, shrunken fox. These are apparently shrunk using the same techniques that they would use to shrink human heads.
This rare condition.
Hazmat skull.
Yeah, so the hazmat skull is really cool. This is actually a child's skull. It makes it even more rare that there are teeth in the eyes. That's not common.
Anything a normal person can do and more.
Here we have the 2-headed calf on the wall. From the wonderful fur-bearing trout. One day I will have a fur-bearing trout for my own collection. See, he's devouring this grilled alligator with his own crocodile teeth.
This is our Egypt gallery.
Okay.
So this is pretty cool. Ripley's Ancient Egypt. This is really neat. We have things built into the floors that show different exhibits.
Camel bladder veins.
Yep, we've got interactive digs where you can actually find real mummified items. We have little showcases in there with mummified hands and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually dig through and find mummified pieces like that. Yep.
There's a real mummy hand in there.
Real mummified hands.
Oh, it's a scorpion right there.
Yep. All of that we do for top projection mapping and things like that, just for fun. Love these. These show actually Robert Ripley Ripley in the exact same locations. You can see this is like Robert Ripley with some camels. He went to Egypt a few times. And then my favorite one is actually right behind you, because it's an actual landmark that lines up. You can see that. So you can see Robert Ripley standing right there in Egypt. Jars, of course, those are pretty common with being known to hold the organs of the mummy.
Yeah. And let's see what happens if we try to open. Was that a mummy snoring?
We've been working on like all the activations and stuff, so you can get a pretty good general overview, but the people who want to learn more can press a button or something like that and really get some more information. You can step on them. That's everybody's #1 concern. Some more Egyptian animals, right? So obviously falcon, cat, snake, ibis. Some ancient Egyptian papyrus scrolls, love those. I think those are really cool. Eventually, I'd like to look at having those digitally unwrapped as technology. As technology advances, they're so brittle right now. You obviously can't.
It would just turn to dust.
Yeah, exactly. But as more technology comes out, my goal one day is to be able to three-dimensionally unroll that, right, and do that. So over here, this is one of my favorite like little gimmicks that you're gonna see. So this is our grab the jewel, right? You know our standard grab the jewel, right? But you're supposed to walk up here to the grab the jewel, reach in.
Oh! That's amazing. Oh no, you're gonna fall into the mummy. Oh, that's great.
That's a child mummy coffin. So this is one of our sideshow mummies. Doesn't have very much to do with ancient Egypt, but it is a sideshow. So this was actually a guy who went by the name of Alan, as funny as that is. He was a sideshow performer who put nails in his nose and would swallow a bunch of objects. It's not quite sure how he died, but he died sometime during this carnival circus act, and they actually mummified him and traveled his corpse around as a sideshow attraction.
So he was a sideshow performer in life,
and then a sideshow attraction.
Died, became a mummy, and just carried on with the sideshow. That's amazing. What did you say his name was?
He went by the name of Alan to our records.
Alan.
Alan is all we know. We just know he was known as Alan the Mummy.
Alan the Mummy. Oh, look at his teeth there.
So a couple of things I do want to point out that are pretty cool. I'm going to turn you around. So back in the early 20s, when this thing was originally found and Robert Ripley got involved in it and everything, he had it checked out by a whole bunch of doctors. That's what all of these pages are, making sure that it was a real human and not something else. But then the stuff I really want to show is he was a circus performer. He put stuff in his nose and swallowed objects and stuff. He's been x-rayed and still has coins in his stomach.
So a few coins he swallowed stayed swallowed.
And he still has a nail in his nose.
He has a nail stuck in his nose?
You can see it with a camera. With one of those thin
okay, so it's jammed in there.
What is that, those things that you
So you said you didn't know how he died. Is there any way that's how he?
You know, maybe you would kind of think that.
Looks like he was doing a human blockhead act,
and it went
just got stuck in his. I didn't.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep. What is that thin camera like on a long thing you can stick down stuff?
It's like
it's something
like where you give you like a colonoscopy type thing.
Something like that. You can see it with one of those cameras, like or whatever. You can't see it like from the street. You got to kind of just go in there. This is a new technology. This is the first place that we've displayed this, so this is pretty cool. What we're actually able to do, I had talked about wanting to do with the papyrus. With that, we can do with mummies nowadays, which is why I'm really excited for this. This is our mummified ibis, and what we can actually do using the touch screen is take a look at the ibis in 3 dimensions. And so it's an actual 3D scan of what you're looking at here that you can then cut and take a look at what's inside.
Oh, wow.
You can choose to get rid of your transparent wrappings, or if you'd just like to see the full skeleton. There is some sort of wooden stick that they're not sure. that's somewhere in there that's determined as a foreign object. But you've got skeleton details and everything like that that you're able to interact with.
That's super cool.
Isn't that cool? All in 3-dimensional. So we have one of our pieces, and then we also have like a true mummy that was scanned as well, which would have been this guy. And same technologies, you can go ahead and actually just peel back the different layers of the coffins and everything like that if you wanted to actually see how the mummy. We are now entering my favorite gallery in the Orlando Ripley's. All right, this gallery is called Dear Mr. Ripley, and it is going to showcase some of the letters, cartoons, submissions, and all the stuff that Robert Ripley would get in the mail on a daily basis. And we're going to showcase the original letters, Robert Ripley's responses, his cartoons, all the way through. Here you can see some more pictures and everything just of how much mail Ripley got. I mean, he was just so popular. But this kind of over here tells the basic history of Robert Ripley for those of you who don't know. You know, the 1918 cartoon, the first book, the first auditorium.
I always love this is actually the original name of Ripley's, believe it or not, is Champs and Chumps.
Absolutely, and the original Champs and Chumps, Robert Ripley actually put an X through the Champs and Chumps and wrote, believe it or not, after it many years later because he considered that the first Believe It or Not cartoon.
Okay, so he considers them canonically the same strip.
Yes, yeah. So this would be Perry Biddle. Perry Biddle, at the age of 90, was able to hold himself up on a telephone pole like that. What a fantastic feat, because I couldn't even do that now,
no, I don't
let
think
alone
so.
at the age of 90. Here in the Dear Mr. Ripley Gallery, as I mentioned, we're going to include not only the original stuff, or not only the pictures, but the original stuff. So right here is the actual Perry Biddle original letter, so that he sent in. So he sent this into Robert Ripley. He said, you know, this is what I do. He sent him in a photograph of himself, a photograph of him doing the feat as well, and then you can see Robert Ripley's notes up here that he used this in the cartoon, 10/30, 1936.
Oh, that's really cool.
And you can actually see the cartoon up here, which would be the cartoon from 10/30, 1936, where Ripley would have recreated the photograph. You're going to see that as kind of a common feature through this entire gallery. You're going to see somebody who sent something in to Robert Ripley, claimed that's what they were able to do, Robert Ripley's responses and what date it was used on, and then wherever we can include the original cartoon, we do, such as over here. Here's another really good one. The guy who could, he was double jointed, could take his hat off from the back.
Take his hat off from behind?
Yep. So he sent in that with the picture. Robert Ripley put that in the cartoon.
It is interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. So a lot of them is just recreated.
He really just recreates what was sent in.
Yeah.
This is actually...
Ship yourself in a crate.
So this is actually the story of, and I forget his name, I'll tell you in just a second because it'll come back to me, but basically he was an Olympian, and after the Olympics he realized he had no money to get home. So he ended up shipping himself in a wooden crate. He built a crate, sat in it, and shipped himself for like 3 days back to Australia, I believe. And this is kind of a little interactive where you can get on, say whether you want to go overnight or what type of delivery and where you're going, and it gives you how much money you'd spend and all sorts of stuff.
Just your postage for yourself?
Just more for fun. Yeah, Reg Spears, I'm sorry about that. Yep,
Reg Spears.
Australian athlete. This kind of tells you the story here. Two other things I will point out. You had talked about Wayne Harbor. We do have a nice Wayne Harbor section over here.
So yes, apparently he would dispute, often like write letters and dispute claims that Ripley made.
Wayne knew Robert and Robert knew Wayne. They were very much, he was always asking.
So Ripley would respond to him, right?
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be Ripley, you know, not necessarily, but he sent in, as you can see, over 22,000 letters. Okay.
They're all letters.
Not a single response back to Harbor disproved any of the information. I mean, that's just what Ripley is.
Yeah.
Ripley is really good at doing and I don't want to say manipulating words sometimes, because that can maybe sound bad, but I really mean that, like, you know, like the Lindbergh cartoon. I don't know how many people are familiar with the Lindbergh cartoon, but Charles Lindbergh goes out, he does the first non-stop Atlantic flight, comes back, he's a hero in America and everything like that. Robert Ripley puts out a cartoon, says Lindbergh was the 67th man to make that trip. Everybody goes nuts. And they hate Robert Ripley. You know, he ended up using that controversy to his advantage. He made that untrue by omitting the word solo.
Okay.
Okay. So Charles Lindbergh had done the first solo flight.
Yeah.
But there had been some Zeppelins and things like that had done it. It just, they weren't solo. So by like removing a word, he was really good at making things true. So that's why he was so good at this type of stuff. And especially Wayne Harbor, he could send it in, and sometimes it was just like one word that could make or break the entire, you know, believe it or not. So yeah, these are a lot of Wayne Harbor letters. A lot of these are all the original ones that he would send in. Some of the responses. We do have an interactive touch table as well, you know, with some of the featured ones. We even featured Wayne in a couple of our... in a couple of
so he got written into the comics himself?
Oh, absolutely he did. Oh, yes, he did. Several times.
He's checked every item in Believe It or Not for the past 5 years.
Yep, absolutely. He kept it going. There he is right there. These are all these. He was featured several times.
Call him the original fact check. That's a nice way to put it.
So this is our warehouse gallery. This is set up to be kind of the smorgasbord of galleries, where it's going to be as close to the warehouse as possibly can. But this is a great gallery because it allows us to put a lot of really cool stuff in a small space and not really have to stick to too much of a theme.
Yeah.
We can really just kind of put those items that are cool to display but don't have enough for a gallery.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of what's inside of here. Got all
see, what do we got?
things.
We got the two-headed calf up there.
Oh, lots of taxidermy. Right? We all love the taxidermy.
Siamese calf there.
Now the really cool thing about this gallery is if you look, every exhibit actually has a number.
Yeah.
Right, now this is actually how it works in our system. It's a little bit different for here, but you can actually go to any one of these kiosks and type in any number for an exhibit in this warehouse, and it will give you more information on it.
That's really cool.
For the people who, again, want to learn something, learn a little something more. And most people can look at it and go two-headed cow, but if you want to know a little bit more about that...
you guys have a bunch of two-headed cows.
Oh yeah, I told you, we've got the monopoly on the two-headed cows. 100%. Skulls. I love the saber-tooth right down there. That's the tiger skull right there. The whole upper half,
right there.
The upper half is all original. The jaw has a little bit of reconstruction, but the amount of it was very well. It had a lot of the original bone, which is uncommon for that type of thing.
It's a lamb with two bodies.
Crochetermy, I believe is what it's called.
Crochetermy?
And it's a combination of taxidermy and crocheting, obviously.
Okay, so he's made out of... He's just a big crochet gorilla?
Just a big crochet gorilla. How awesome is that? I love it. We've got some old chimney collections over there. Mainly these come from like the UK and whatnot. We do have some giant shoes. We have several full-size cows with extra limbs. Here's another one right now. So the other one had 6. I believe this one's got 5. But as you can see, he's got an extra joint right here coming out of his back.
There we go. So this is a Japanese medical model. Let's see how you can take it apart, pull open the body, take out the organs. It's a bed of nails used in a sideshow act.
Alcatraz, John Dillinger, just think kind of like older true crime. And things like that. So that's what we have in here. We've got an original brick from the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Okay.
Right, that's pretty cool. These are a set of crooked dice, traced back to a Chicago mob family. Every single one of these dice
trick dice?
Our trick dice does something different. A couple of them are like, you know, they have a bunch of 4s on them, so you're more likely to get a 4.
Yeah.
Some of them are weighted so that they're going to always this, but every single one of those is a trick dice. Then we've got some actual gimmicks here that talk about how like cards were modified in order to do illegal gambling and things like that. You know, so we've got original old card punches and things like that. So obviously this would be...
So that would be like something to tag a card with so you can feel it?
Be very similar to like a braille mark. And, you know, for somebody experienced, they'd be able to feel that,
no problem. Feel the small.
Right, but to nobody else, that you know, you could mark the aces and it would be no big deal.
Scissor card trimmer.
Look at that. I know nowadays they've got, you know, more industrial industrial ones, but you gotta think, this is from the 1920s and things like that. They did what they did. So this is the exact same type of thing. They shaved just a little bit of the edge off, and then by doing that, you're able to turn the card around 360 and know where it is, because it's slightly messed up. And then last but not least, another way to mark it would be the standard card corner, the card rounder.
Okay.
If your deck of cards has got a square edge and you round the corner, you're going to be able to find that card any single time. So all of these are just different ways of marking cards for gambling and things like that. Well, don't go rob the bank. That's the Ripley's bank.
There's this pile of money here that's so tempting. You walk forward and, oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. That is... There's the Robert Earl Hughes, prison version. He's got, believe it or not, tattooed on his neck.
Look at it, look at his tattoos.
He's got a Fiji Mermaid. Well, he's got a tiny calf on that. This is awesome. Ripley's. I'm gonna get this tattooed around my neck for real. Would you put me in a Ripley's comic if I got this tattooed on my neck?
The story of the Alcatraz escape is just a believe it or not in itself.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
Once you dive in. So here, these are reproductions. Okay, we'd like to make these very known.
Yeah.
We tell when they're reproductions, but it does help tell the story of Alcatraz. Okay, so condensed really shortly, as the prisoners escaped, they used a bunch of different tools and a bunch of different techniques to get out and fool the guards and all sorts of stuff. At night, when they were working on their escape, they used fake heads and they put them in their cells. They used them, they were made out of candle wax and other things like that, replica head. Those are replica paddles that were found by the FBI because once they actually got off the island, they never saw them again. They found some paddles and some things like that. Replica tools taken from FBI files as to what they would have used. The really cool thing is though, this is an original 1950s rubberized raincoat. It's the exact same type that was carried on Alcatraz, and it's really interesting that if only 2 years later they switched to a different rubber, that would not have.
Oh no! Oh, that's like an ink pack exploding.
An actual bank ink pad. So this is a 20. A stack.
Oh, okay. So when it's got the ink pack like implanted into it.
So this would be what would happen if a bank was getting robbed. The teller would slip one of these in with all the regular money, and it would be activated by the bank as they exited, and it essentially just shot red dye or blue dye everywhere, which would both destroy the money that they had just stolen.
Make it traceable.
And then also, most of the time, the criminal got a lot of it on him too, and then you could find the criminal.
He's running around in the street.
Yeah, half red, half blue, or something like that.
Let me see that again. Let's blow it up one more time. Oh, busted.
These are always fun too, right? You get to stand next to the thing.
You're arrested for wearing too much makeup?
Is that what this one says?
This is a prison door? Oh, so this is like the... Oh, okay, so you'd open that.
Yep, and then this is where they put the food in.
So yeah, no way to look out.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. This is for people to look in and make sure you're on the other side of the room, right? And you're not gonna come and do anything, and then they would open the door and give you your food. You know, I always do like showing the Kimono Dragon over here. He is one of my favorite pieces, especially just the size of him. You know, when you start seeing him up close, you get a whole new perspective, right, as to how large they are. Which, for those of you who have watched, it includes the giant Goodyear tire here. So this is the next gallery in our line that's going to be renovated. I can tell you that it is going to be space
related.
That's about as much as I can tell you, but we are very excited about it. We've got some really interesting.
Got some cool stuff coming?
We've got a lot of really cool stuff coming. But basically, we're going to be opening up a lot of these walls. This whole room is going to be getting a little bit bigger in general, and this entire room is going to be dedicated to space.
Awesome.
So, as you can imagine, there are some logistical things that are going to happen. I'd like to talk about those since we've actually been in this room before, right? The tire is the big one. This building was actually built around this tire. So there is no actual way for us to get this tire out without breaking an exterior wall. We put it off as long as we could, but it's time to break that exterior wall.
So you're gonna have to bust a wall to get it out of here?
This wall is coming out, and there will be a 20-foot bay door that's going to come and be put in there so that if we ever decide to load and unload big exhibits, it's going to be much easier next time. There's Wadlow in his full glory.
Oh, I don't think I've seen this over here.
Okay, this is one of the newest ones. This is the world's longest fingernails on a pair of hands for a female.
And wasn't it recently she got them cut off?
Yeah, very, very recently. She actually, it was in the middle of COVID and everything like that, but she made a trip out to Dallas and she worked with a dermatologist, and the dermatologist cut off all of her nails. She thought it was time. This was a little bit different last time you were here. We call this, the new photo come up. We call this the dance party.
The dance party.
The dance party. All right, so we've brought up a lot of the old Ripley's figures, modernized them a little bit, started playing a lot of music, just really tried to up the atmosphere, make it a lot more fun, right? So we're able to kind of bring them up into the next century. Eric Sprague.
Eric Sprague's wearing a bow tie, it's suspenders, well, some headphones. And then I remember this guy bends nails on his head. Hammerhead.
His name is not Gurner. His real name is J.T. Sailors. He is performing the art of gurning, which means bringing your lip over your nose, or as close to it as possible. And last but not least, a freshly painted tunnel.
Freshly painted.
Are you brave enough?
Oh, it looks so bright. It's so bright. It's so disorientating. So thank you for joining me here today at Ripley's, believe it or not, Orlando, or as those in the know call it, Ripley's Buy-On Orlando. Big thanks to Curtis for taking me through and showing me all the changes, the new renovations here in Orlando. Always love when there's a little something new to check out, some new sections at the Ripley's auditoriums. Of course, they have one more gallery coming that's yet to be renovated. I'm looking forward to coming back and checking that out. So thank you. If you like videos like this, I have been to every Ripley's in the United States. So if you want to go back and check out those videos, there's a few that I need to go back because they're changing things and renovating things, but I've been in every building so far. If you like these videos, please subscribe. It'll let you know when a new one's coming out. If you'd like to help support the channel, consider donating to Patreon. $3 or more will get you a postcard once a month. Also selling enamel pins in the Etsy shop. All of that just helps keep this train on the tracks, this boat in the water, and this dirigible in the air. Until next time, my friends, this one's in the bag.